Before we get into the meeting, I'd like to highlight a significant day today, 60 years ago. The undersigned has the honor to report that a petition has been presented by persons resident in the area known as Valemount, who are of the full age of 21 years and who are the owners of land in the area, praying that the inhabitants of such an area should be incorporated as a village municipality, and that a vote has been held in accordance with the provisions of Section 10 of the Municipal Act, and that all conditions of the requirements of Section 10 of the Municipal Act have been duly complied with, and to recommend that pursuant to the provisions of the Municipal Act, letters patents do issue in the form hereto attached, incorporating the inhabitants of the area known as Valemount as a village municipality under the name Village of Valemount. So, happy birthday. And to that, I'll now call this meeting to order. And first up on the agenda is item 2.1, adoption of this evening's agenda. Councillor Blanchette, seconded by Councillor Pearson. Any additions or deletions? All in favor? It's carried. 3.1, adoption of the minutes of the November 2022 meeting. Moved by Councillor Mulyk, seconded by Councillor Pearson. Are there any errors or omissions arising? All in favor? It's carried. Item 3.2, adoption of the minutes of the November 1st, 2022 inaugural meeting of Council be adopted as presented. Moved by Councillor Pearson, seconded by Councillor Mulyk. Any errors or omissions arising? All in favor? It's carried. Item 3.3, adoption of the minutes of the previous special meeting of Council being November the 18th, 2022. Moved by Councillor Blanchette, seconded by Councillor Pearson. Are there any errors or omissions arising from those sets of minutes? All in favor? It's carried. Under correspondence for action, 6.1, we do have a request for a letter of support from Simp First Nation. Recommendation that the Village of Valemount provides a letter of support to the First Nations Major Projects Coalition in support of an application to the Community Opportunities Readiness Program under Funding Stream 1 for support to pursue economic opportunities for a business case development for the Valemount Airport expansion project, including an economic impact assessment, 80% up to $250,000, and negotiation of partnership with the Village of Valemount, 80% up to $250,000. What's Council's wish? Moved by Councillor Pearson, seconded by Councillor Mulyk. Discussion. Really a feasibility study to see what potential next steps could be. Led by the First Nations Major Projects Coalition.
It's a good opportunity.
You bet. All in favor? It's carried. Another request for a letter of support, this time under 6.2 from the Valemount Ski Society, with a recommendation that the Village of Valemount provides a letter to the Ski Society in support of their application to the Rural Economic Diversification and Infrastructure Program for funding to build a bridge across MacLean River to access the future community ski hill project. It's Council's wish. Moved by Councillor Pearson, seconded by Councillor Blanchette. Discussion. Runs are already cut. Just got to get there. All in favor? It's carried. Is there anything in the reading file folks would like to surface? Councillor Pearson?
A couple things. So I'll start at the bottom. Item 10, the correspondence regarding the Bigfoot Trail. I'm just wondering, do we know which side of Fifth they're referring to in the letter? Because in my experience going up and down Fifth Avenue, the owners of Peak Shuttles do park on the side of Fifth Avenue, but it's in front of their own property, not on the Bigfoot Trail side. So I'm just wondering if their expectation is both sides of the street are clear for bike riding and pedestrian traffic as opposed to using the Bigfoot Trail.
Would you, it does not specify within the letter, would you like staff to follow up?
Yeah, I think a follow-up and maybe even just clarification, that the Bigfoot Trail is on the north side of Fifth Avenue through that area.
Moved by Councillor Pearson, seconded by Councillor Blanchette, that staff follow up with Ms. Lorenz, seeking clarity. You had another, Councillor?
I do.
Okay.
This is a fun one. Item number 6, Minister of Energy, fuel price response. I appreciate the minister's letter to us regarding gas price fluctuations. Unfortunately, here in Valemount, we really don't be benefiting too much from the fluctuations. So just in recent research, our current prices are now down to $1.83.9. Blue River's $1.64, Kamloops $1.54, Clearwater $1.65, Prince George $1.57, Hinton $1.39, Edson $1.31, and last time I heard McBride was 17 cents cheaper than us as well.
Chilliwack, $1.33 yesterday.
Yeah, so I think my recommendation that on behalf of mayor and council, a letter be drafted to the minister asking why we are being held hostage here in the middle of everywhere.
Moved by Councillor Pearson, seconded by Councillor Mulyk, that a letter of thanks and clarity around, if I can, Councillor, around the pricing structure of fueling stations regionally. Is that fair?
Yeah, regionally with a focus on our local. We seem to be a bit of a thorn in this one, so.
Would no longer be the Minister Ralston. It'd be Minister Osborne. So a new letter
A new letter.
to the good minister.
Okay, thank you.
Discussion, further discussion on that, Councillor Blanchette?
We should make sure we can incorporate those prices as of that date, so that they see that there is that difference.
In fact, you know, we're surrounded by lower prices, completely surrounded.
Agreed?
And it's worth the short distance to a local, a nearby community to buy fuel at 17 cents a liter difference, so.
Take a tidy tank. Further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. Any other,
That was it for me, thank you.
Councillor, that's,
That's what I had.
Councillor Mulyk, did you have anything?
That's fine.
I'd like to bring to the surface the number 1, Simp Chief and Council invitation to the community dinner to honor the former Cookpee Loring. If there are those that are available on the 21st and would like to make the trek to Chuchua, we should probably have a motion to bring that forward. Mr. Dabanow, did you have any staff persons that would like to join us on that?
At this time, it'd just be myself, your worship.
Okay. So, just a show of hands, those that are available and willing to go. Councillor Pearson, myself. Moved by Councillor Pearson, seconded by Councillor Blanchette, that myself, Councillor Pearson, and CAO Depano join in the celebration and appreciation dinner at Chuchua.
If you could just pass on my apologies, but I'll be having surgery that day, so.
We will send regrets with respect. Further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. Just the plethora of congratulatory letters from both provincial and federal members of government, as well as our partners at ECOM and Trans Mountain Columbia Basin Trust. Administrative reports, 8.1 for the John Osachuk Ball Diamond. There's a request from dog owners that council considers and renders a decision on the use of the John Osachuk Ball Diamond as an off-leash space for dogs during seasons that sports are not taking place. Is there an appetite that council wishes to entertain? Councillor Pearson, second by Councillor Blanchette. Discussion? Councillor Blanchette?
I think it's, if people are going to really pick up after their dog, then I don't have a problem with it, but I have a feeling that a lot of it's not gonna get picked up, and then that's left for staff to muddle through. So it's, for me, it's,
Can always retract it.
you know,
Next summer, if you find it's the request from those willing to, you know, form a bit of a community group and work with Public Works in this regard, we can see, do it on a trial basis.
sure.
Councillor Pearson?
I echo Councillor Blanchette's feelings on this. I think we can't generalize, but we all see bad dog parents in town. I see it in the schoolyard across from me all the time. I agree they need a place, and I mean, it worked well, but I am not sure on a couple points. One, that one cleanup before ball season starts will be enough. That is just gonna be nasty if left over the winter for those that don't do pickup, so if there was a way to encourage more frequent walkthroughs, and in looking at other communities, any off-leash dog park has posted rules for use that I think we should, if we are gonna endorse the use, then there needs to be rules for the use of. And I did inquire with CEO Depino earlier too, is just what any liabilities the village would have in allowing free rein for an off-leash dog park.
Or the, Councillor Mulyk?
Yeah, and I think, you know, just, I agree entirely with that. I think, you know, what you had mentioned earlier, it being a trial, you know, on a trial basis, as long as there's signs posted and it's understood that it's on a trial basis. So, you know, let's see how this works. And if everybody contributes, then it should be fine, but everyone has to participate in this.
Is council comfortable with the motion as it stands, with the understanding that staff will come back with some administrative procedure on rules of dog parks to be posted? Is that okay?
Yeah.
And if we find that come April, May, June, it's a bit much, can always rescind. All in favor? It's carried. 8.2, Northern Development Initiative Trust Internship Program. Recommendation here, the council directs staff to apply to the 2023 intake for the NDIT Local Government Internship Program. Councillor Blanchette, second by Councillor Pearson. Discussion? Councillor Blanchette?
This is a wonderful program, and we've been doing it as far as I can remember, and it's always been wonderful for them and for us.
A bit of a lag, but we'll get back at it.
Yep.
And every single intern that has been through this office have really gone on to some really exciting projects in their own regard.
Yep.
Further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 8.3, we do have a petition labeled Challenges Facing Businesses and Nonprofits. Motion, please, to receive. Councillor Blanchette, seconded by Councillor Mulyk. Discussion. There's a number of ways that we can work with the undersigned, as outlined in the report. One is to facilitate a bit of a workshop to see what that looks like, having business sector owners, not-for-profits, developers all in the same room, where we can really hash out what some potential next steps could look like. Is one that's been identified. Councillor Pearson, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I mean, and I truly believe the one option that was put forward is as far as a council workshop, basically to learn our roles and limitations, what we can and can't do as council would be very valuable in moving forward on this process before we step into the big pool with developers and everybody at the table.
Good idea. Any further discussion? Mr. Deponell, you have some direction there?
Council, I understand the direction at this time to be to host a council workshop to better understand how we can partner with those undersigned in the future. So we'll circulate some times and begin a report on that, if I understand the direction.
You got it. All in favor? It's carried. 8.4, we have a 2023 deputy mayor appointment schedule to be approved. Moved by Councillor Blanchette, seconded by Councillor Pearson, rotating alphabetically for the next 11 months. Is there any discussion around that? All in favor? It's carried. 8.5, we have an appointment to consider to the Clean Air Task Force with applicant Tom Jamin putting his name forward. Moved by Councillor Blanchette, seconded by Councillor Mulyk, that Tom Jamin be appointed to the Clean Air Task Force for a one-year term. Discussion? Thank you, Mr. Jamin.
Yes, he's been quite a valuable member on the team, so it's glad to see him coming forward again.
All in favor? It's carried. 8.6, before we dive into 8.6, I'm looking for council's support to open a committee of the whole meeting. Just give us a little bit more flexibility around discussion on appointments. So moved by Councillor Blanchette at 7:18, seconded by Councillor Pearson, that we suspend the regular meeting, and committee appointments that really reach out to committee members or council members, committee of the whole members, that they would like to put their name forward for.
I would like the Clean Air Task Force. I'd like to continue with that committee, and I'd like to continue my position as the Northern Health Liaison.
Moved by Councillor Blanchette, seconded by Councillor Mulyk. Clean Air Task Force and the Northern Health Liaison. Discussion on the recommendation coming forward back. Councillor.
Just discussion in the last year or so. Councillor Blanchette and I have sort of tag teamed on the health portion. Can we add an alternate to that, or how does that work?
We can add a second member if you like.
I would be good with that.
There's no real terms of reference here from Northern Health. It's
Okay.
bring forward at least one.
Okay, I'd be interested in continuing on with that then.
Okay. Adding Councillor Pearson to that, Northern Health. All in favor on that recommendation? Councillor Pearson, what suits your fancy over there?
Well, I'd like to continue with my work with Trans-Canada Yellowhead Highway Association. I would be interested on the Southeastern BC Connectivity Committee. And not sure where anyone else sits on it, but I would strive to take on the SIMP liaison as well.
On the SIMP liaison, typically, well, it's not typical, but I would just note that my position being spokesperson would liaise with most external governments.
Okay, that's fine.
Anything else?
We can leave it all for the rest.
Moved by Councillor Pearson, seconded by Councillor Blanchette. For those
I'm already on the Valemount Entertainment Society as a member, so if I could get councils, however that works, to represent the council on that, I would like that. parcel tax roll review. I would be interested in that as well.
And you also had said the
And the,
CIP.
yeah, the CBT, the CI, I would also be interested in that.
Okay, the Community Initiatives Program, or the resident-directed initiatives, I think it's called now. Okay, moved by Councillor Mulyk, seconded by Councillor Blanchette. On those committees, I'm sure staff are doing a wonderful job identifying them. Discussion on those recommendations? All in favor? It's carried. In discussion with Councillor MacLean, who's not here, she had mentioned she would let her name stand for the Columbia River Treaty Local Government Committee for a one-year term, and the Columbia Basin Regional Advisory Committee for a one-year term. Can I get a mover and a seconder on that? Moved by Councillor Blanchette, seconded by Councillor Pearson. Councillor MacLean continue to represent us at the Columbia River Treaty Local Government Committee and CBRAC. Discussion on the recommendation. All in favor on the recommendation? It's carried. I've actually never sat on the parcel tax roll review. So I would be looking for the parcel tax roll review panel to join Councillor Mulyk in that. The Prince George Treaty Advisory Committee, the Robson Valley Region Marketing Initiative Steering Committee, the Municipal Insurance Association of BC. We'll need an alternate there as well. Simp First Nation Liaison, and to fill up our appointment to the Southeast BC Regional Connectivity Committee. Moved by Councillor Blanchette, seconded by Councillor Mulyk. On those recommendations, discussion on those recommendations. All in favor? It's carried, and then we'll need an alternate to the Municipal Insurance Association. Councillor Pearson? You've got insurance written all over you.
Yeah.
Moved by
I'm all about liability, so I'm good with that.
Moved by Councillor Pearson, seconded by Councillor Blanchette to serve as alternate to the Municipal Insurance Association of BC. What's left? I don't think anything. Housing.
One vacancy remaining for housing, Your Worship.
Thank you. Is there any takers on the vacancy on the Housing Committee? Councillor Blanchette?
Did Councillor MacLean mention if she was interested in housing or not?
She didn't. But can always throw her on there.
Well, we can ask her, and then I'm sure one of us can step in, but
Yeah.
I'm just looking at the list.
We have one more for the cleaner task force as well.
And we have one more for the Cleaner Task Force as well. Thank you. Why don't we throw Councillor MacLean onto the Housing Committee meeting, and if she is completely against it, then we can.
I'm just wondering if she is chair of the, yeah, is that
Senior
gonna
housing?
cause, that might, I forgot about that. And you're on that committee as well?
That's why I didn't.
Okay,
Only if there's discussions in the room pertaining to
okay,
that particular project.
okay. All right, we can ask her.
So the Committee of the Whole is making a recommendation that Councillor MacLean sit on the Housing Committee. Seconder, moved by Councillor Blanchette, seconded by Councillor Mulyk. Discussion on the recommendation.
If she does not want to be on that committee, then I will put my name forward for that.
Does that satisfy staff? Okay. All in favor on the recommendation? It's carried. And we have a second vacancy on the Cleaner Task Force. I understand Councillor MacLean, when she wasn't joining us as a member of council, she would she did have interest in sitting as a citizen representative on that committee. I would have no issues or apprehensions of her sitting representing council.
She was still interested, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is there a mover? Councillor Pearson, seconded by Councillor Mulyk. Councillor MacLean, fill the second vacancy for the Cleaner Task Force. Discussion on the recommendation. All in favor of the recommendation? It's carried. Based on the recommendations, we will move them as a block outside of the committee of the whole, so I'll ask for adjournment. Moved by Councillor Blanchette, second by Councillor Pearson. All in favor? 7:27. Thank you. So from the committee of the whole recommendations, so mover and second to receive and accept the recommendations from the committee of the whole. Moved by Councillor Pearson, second by Councillor Blanchette. Discussion on the motion to receive and accept. All in favor? It's carried. Thank you. 8.7, repeal of outdated village policies. There's some doozies in here. Separate resolutions. So that policy number 32, village contributions to community activities, be repealed. Moved by Councillor Pearson, second by Councillor Blanchette. Discussion. All in favor? It's carried. Number 2, that policy number 46, enforcement officers for animal control, be repealed. Moved by Councillor Blanchette, seconded by Councillor Mulyk. Discussion. All in favor? It's carried. This one's good. Policy number 47, curbside garbage can limit, be repealed. Moved by Councillor Blanchette, second by Councillor Smiley. Pearson. Discussion. All in favor? It's carried. Number 4, that policy number 48, defining beauty shop, be repealed. Moved by Councillor Blanchette, seconded by Councillor Pearson. All in favor? It's carried. And 5, that policy number 53, parking, be repealed. Moved by Councillor Blanchette, seconded by Councillor Mulyk. Discussion. All in favor? The 5 have been repealed.
Did we not find anything about dragging a horse down Main Street on Sundays in our bylaws?
That's next.
That would, no, it's still active.
Still active, okay.
8.8, 2022 third quarterly budget report, that'll be received. Moved by Councillor Blanchette, seconded by Councillor Mulyk. Discussion, questions, comments? We're on track. All in favor? It's received. 8.9, internal borrowing for the purpose of funding lift station projects. Looking that council approves the interfund borrowing of $1 million from the general statutory reserves for the purpose of funding the sewer lift station projects. Moved by Councillor Pearson, seconded by Councillor Blanchette. Discussion.
Borrow $1 million
From yourself?
from myself.
Any comments from administration in regards to not the reason why, but, or perhaps next steps?
So from here, council staff will work to identify the amounts that need to be withheld in the funds and the requirements to borrow those monies, as well as the payment schedule. The funds have to be returned to yourselves, to those statutory funds, with the interest that they would have made. So there's some work to be done to understand those amounts. However, there's been great work done by the finance department to show through the pages here that we assess it as feasible. Rationale for interfund borrowing versus going out to the private market is this prevents the payment of that interest being lost out, right? You're paying this back into the coffer, so it will be an obligation of council, of the municipality, but in the end, those monies do be retained by the municipality versus quite expensive lending options, even through the means that the village has. So we do see this as a better option, should we be able to make it possible.
Any further questions, comments? All in favor? It's carried. 8.10, Ministry of Transportation, BC Air Access Program application, that staff be directed to apply in the amount up to $180,311. Moved by Councillor Pearson, second by Councillor Blanchette. Discussion. I think just about every single improvement you see at that aerodrome has been funded by the BC Air Access Program. We've been extremely fortunate over the last decade.
Well, it's gonna get used more and more, so.
All in favor? It's carried. 8.11, Northern Development Initiative Trust, Northern Housing Initiative Program. We're looking that council supports an application by village staff to the NDIT, Northern Housing Initiative Incentive Program, and further support staff's creation and administration of the Dollars to the Door program should the application be successful. Moved by Councillor Pearson, second by Councillor Mulyk. Discussion. $10,000 per door.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully this can incentivize a little bit to get some development moving in the community, so.
Further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 8.12, 2023 Canada Summer Jobs Program. We're looking that staff be directed to apply to the Canada Summer Jobs Program up to the maximum allowable amount for a wage subsidy for Visitor Information Center counselor. Moved by Councillor Blanchette, second by Councillor Mulyk. Discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 8.13, Bylaw Enforcement Summary Report, November 2022, that it be received. Moved by Councillor Blanchette, second by Councillor Pearson. Discussion? Councillor Blanchette.
He's busy, you know, it's nice to see that he's out there, and I think he's doing a good job, you know.
There have been some open files from the previous
He's cleaning up.
bylaw officer,
Yeah.
but keeping those active and ongoing.
I'll pass on those comments to staff, thank you.
You bet. All in favor of receipt? It's carried. 8.14, Development Variance Permit 2203 at 1170 9th Avenue. There is a recommendation that Development Variance Permit number 2203 for 1170 9th Avenue, legally described as Lot 11, District Lot 7355, Caribou District Plan 26557, to decrease the interior setback for a principal building from 2 meters to 1.52 meters, be approved. Moved by Councillor Blanchette, seconded by Councillor Mulyk. Discussion. Councillor Pearson.
Yeah, I'm just hoping as we move forward that we don't get caught in this position again with the cart before the horse kind of procedure. So I think this will be a learning lesson for all of us.
Absolutely. There have been checks and balances, Mr. Depineau, in moving forward.
Absolutely, Your Worship. So this challenge stemmed from an original application where rather than 6.6 feet, it was noted as 5 feet on the application. Unfortunately, through the staff network that it goes through as it progresses, that 18 inches was not captured. I understand there were some verifications done of the screw pilings at different points, but without I understand the overlap of the building there, again, that mistake had not been caught. So great faith in the technical expertise that we have in our planning and building departments, the same folks for the RD, for McBride, and for Valemount, and this is the first instance. So all of that being said, we've looked to adopt a policy that the RD uses in terms of additional checks there to ensure that this type of thing does not happen again, but certainly a clerical error and one that we take responsibility for.
Thank you. Further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 8.14, we have a development variance permit 2204 at 1471 8th Place. That development variance permit 2204 for 1471 8th Place, legally described as Lot 15, District Lot 7354. Caribou District Plan PGP 39482 to decrease the interior side setback for a principal building from 2 meters to 1.52 meters be approved. Moved by Councillor Pearson, second by Councillor Mulyk. Discussion on this development variance permit. Similar instance.
Again, for clarity, so the exact same clerical error, 5 feet submitted on the initial plans and not caught, so 2 applications submitted at the same time, same proponent as per the paperwork. Important to note feedback received on this, which is different, as you're aware, from your agenda package to the prior, and just to make clear, we'll be sure to relay a full response to any submissions received during that notification process.
Excellent. Further discussion? All in favor? It's carried. 8.16, implementation of municipal grant policy number 5. And looking that council discontinues the waiving of facility rental fees and instead using the municipal grant policy number 5 as a mechanism to grant these amounts. Moved by Councillor Pearson, second by Councillor Mulyk. Discussion, Councillor Pearson.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand that we were kind of going about this the wrong way with waiving of fees, which is a portion of the bylaw, but I'm a little concerned in the wording in the new policy. I mean, it seems a little more, instead of a request for a waiver, now it's, seems a little more comprehensive as far as the requirements required to make the request. I understand the statement for disbursements of any previous grants received from council, financial statements showing the planned purpose of the requested grant, and all other sources of revenue expenditures related to the projects to which the grant is applied. I think for the average small society that's looking to use the building for a function, I think that paper trail became a little more onerous from a simple request. And I'm just wondering if that's a totally required section or if there's some leeway in there. So that would be my only concern with the new policy.
Let's get some further discussion out of that, and then we'll get a response from administration. Is there any further discussion points on the policy? Councillor Blanchette?
So the waiving of the fees, is that different than that pot that we give out throughout the year? You know, like a group will ask for $1,000 or $500. Is that coming out of the same pot? Okay. So for that first pot, they never had to do this, correct?
When like a community group was simply
Yeah.
just asking for a grant?
Yeah.
Off the top of my head, Councillor, no.
Okay. So then if it's the same pot, why would we have to go through this form?
To the councillor through your worship. So my understanding here, the fees, at this time there is a line item for those small contributions to different initiatives. At this time there's no line item that captures not collecting monies. So in the example where a third party, a not-for-profit, is granted use of a community space at no cost, there isn't a financial measure in place to capture what those costs are over a year in terms of deferred revenues, what we have waived off that we ought to have collected. And so the spirit, to speak to Councillor Pearson's comment on the onerous additional administration, is more simply to, rather than waive those fees, we would grant the value from a separate line item and therefore have a better financial tracking to be able to report to council how much has been waived over a year, for example. So the spirit certainly is not to make it more onerous. This policy effective date is 1988, most recently amended 6 years past. So it could be the case that needs to be reviewed before you'd be comfortable moving forward with the recommendation, and understandably so, we could certainly do that. Again, spirit is not to punish or impede resource strained small parties. It's just to increase our financial tracking and just get back in line with not waiving a portion of a bylaw. So
maybe we could send it back to be a little bit reworded, and because usually these groups are only asking for a minimal amount, you know, so.
Well, they're waiving $450.
Yeah.
And then we imply that they need to have appropriate insurances and, you know, communicable disease program in place. Basically, that's the onus. So, based on discussion, I would recommend council defeat the motion on the floor and provide language to staff in a new motion. So, all in favor? 1. Opposed? It's carried. Do the opposition wish to have their vote tallied? No? Okay. It's been defeated. Councillor Pearson, do you have some language in which you would like to form a bit of a motion to direct staff?
You want me to off the cuff write a new policy right now?
I
might need another coffee.
I would entertain something like that staff be directed to bring policy number 5 back to a late January meeting with language focused on policy number 12, which speaks to the facilities permitting and the waiving of fees.
Well said.
Seconded by Councillor Blanchette. You have a spirit of resolution and some direction?
yes, your worship, we do.
Thank you. Discussion on that motion? All in favor? It's carried. 9.1 under bylaws and policies, policy number 88, credit card and fuel card program. We're looking to adopt or approve policy 88 on those two. Moved by Councillor Blanchette, seconded by Councillor Pearson. Discussion. Our Director of Finance is out of town. Your hotel rooms are not getting booked.
It's a good backup.
And potentially we're staying at the coast. Just for example.
Sleeping in the vehicle again.
Your worship, just a point of clarity from staff, just to be clear, the language here, the 2 additional credit cards that are being added, plus what the Director of Finance holds is where the total of $20,000 comes from, just to be clear. So they are subsidiary cards to the main card held by the Director of Finance with lifetime updates and et cetera about usage across all cards. So it's not 5,000, 5,000, and 20. It's 20,000 with 3 cards with their envelope underneath them, just to be clear on the total amount. Worship.
Thank you for that.
All in favor? It's carried. Item 11, does anybody have a notice of motion to bring forward? End of year, now's the time. Hearing none, we'll move into council reports under 12.1. Councillor Blanchette.
On the 23rd, we all went up to McBride and had a lovely day. And I was introduced to all of the new councillors, some staff. We did some workshops. It was a really good day. Learned a lot. I was reminded of a lot because over the years you forget. And it was nice to work together with the McBride Council, you know. And we talked about getting together more often throughout this term and working together since we are very, very close neighbors. So that was an enjoyable day. The 28th, we had a very small, just clean air task force, just to introduce our CAO to what we've been doing and to bring them up to speed. And on December 1st, we had an in-house project update for council. And that was everything.
Councillor Mulyk?
Okay. On the 23rd, I was also in McBride for the workshop, and it was an excellent opportunity to interact with our the rest of our valley of the folks there. On December 1st, I also was involved with the briefing on all the projects, and that was very insightful. On the 5th of December, I attended a Zoom training session for the Northern Development Initiatives Trust, the Regional Advisory Committee, and I found that very interesting. It was a very worthwhile. There's actually another opportunity to see it again, so I might go and attend that one too, just to make sure I caught everything, because there was a lot of information there.
Indeed there was. Councillor Pearson?
So also on November 23rd, joined Mayor, Council, and staff in McBride for the joint council orientation. Very good session. Definitely reinforced some of the things that we need to know. And it was good to share a table with our neighbors across the valley. December 1st, I remotely attended the orientation session for the project update, due to being under the weather. And I missed a couple other meetings also due to illness, so that's all I have to report.
Glad to see you're better.
Feeling better.
Sounding better.
Yeah.
On the 23rd, joined you all for a joint council orientation with the Village of McBride. Great to meet the new council outside of their inaugural meeting. November 29th, I participated in a workshop provided by BC Hydro on an optional residential time of use rate, in which they'll be making an application to the BC Utilities Commission. Again, keyword optional, as this program is getting rolled out. They'll be presenting residential ratepayers with what an average utility bill would look like under the current two-step program, based on constantly going into step 2, and then looking at what a time of use rate would look like. So pennies, say 3 pennies at 10 o'clock in the morning, 15 pennies at 7:30 at night. You know, so seeing what that day use, evening use, overnight use, that kind of thing. But that application has just gone forward, so it'll be a bit before they'll be getting back to that. And on that, there is an app out there. It's called My Hydro. You can download it to any sort of Android or iOS product that you can sign up through the BC Hydro website under your residential account. And it's still in a beta sort of pilot program, but you can jump on board anytime. I find it very useful. It's up to the day, but you can circle back through a 24-hour period 6 weeks ago and try and remember why you spiked at 6 in the morning. I found it very insightful on energy conservation. December 1st, I joined all of you for the Village of Valemount in-house council orientation. Again, to Mayor Councillor Mulyk's comments, got a lot of go on the plate. And December 5th, joined Councillor Mulyk and the rest of the NDIT Regional Advisory Committee members for a fast and furious orientation by Mr. Mackay. Motion to receive, Councillor Mulyk, second by Councillor Pearson. Questions, comments on the reports received? Councillor Pearson?
Just comments on your hydro report. You do realize we don't have pennies anymore?
Nichols.
Mine are measured nickels and dimes, so. And to your point, the My Hydro app is a great function for seeing in-day use of power. And the difference, if you're away for a day, like you leave town for a weekend, and you see your hydro consumption, it's, oh, look at that, the TV wasn't on for 8 hours that day. It's well worth looking at.
Well, it's what I really enjoy about it versus the comparisons, the chart comparisons on the BC Hydro website is by week and month, and day. But the My Hydro app, you can really, you know, maybe I do need a timer on those block heater cords. I don't need to have it in all night because at 2 o'clock in the morning, I don't need to have my oil pan 180 degrees. All in favor? Receipt, it's carried. We do have opportunity under section 14.1 for public comments on items considered by council as a part of the approved agenda. Do we have any public comments this evening? Just a couple preambles. I see a couple hands, so let's remind folks that comments, questions will only be regarding an item on the current agenda. And please, for those watching from home, your public comments to be from the podium. Questions, comments put forth must be on topics that are not normally dealt with by village staff as a matter of routine. Comments and questions shall be addressed through myself and answers given likewise. Debates with or by individual members of council of staff are not allowed during public comment. No commitments shall be made by council in replying to questions. Matters which may require action of council shall be tabled to a future meeting of this council. Bylaws and temporary use permits, etc., that have been considered at a public hearing but have not yet received final approval shall not be raised during this time. Individuals must state their name and simply their area of residence. We do not need your address. And comments and questions will be limited to 2 minutes, notified by that clock, beginning after welcome. Public comments. Who had their hand up first? Oh, jacket's coming off.
Yeah, getting serious.
Because I'm speaking as me, not as my work. So I'm Keisha Flavel, live here in Valemount.
Welcome.
I would just like to note that I am very much against the approval of the variance for lot 1170 on 9th Ave. I honestly think that it's a little ridiculous that you can do something not in accordance to your bylaws and then ask for forgiveness later. I think it's kind of setting you guys up for a lot of issues later on, just saying that basically anybody in town can do anything on their property, and all I have to do is put in a variance afterwards and it'll be okay. So I would just like to have that noted.
Thank you. Other public comments this evening?
Hi, James Valemount. Card.
Pardon?
Card.
Card, thank you.
C-A-R-D. So I want to speak to the same thing. So I'm the adjacent property owner, and so I did submit a document that didn't get discussed. I'm only guessing that you guys did read it, but I am quite disappointed. I see this as a mistake sounds like on the part of the village, and I wear it, right? So the consequences are mine, and I find that very frustrating. And I mean, I'm new to this process and how this works, but I have to say, even the process was a bit victimizing in the fact that there was even lack of a recognition of the letter, a lack of recognition of some of the solutions that I put forward. It was just kind of brushed off, and it's you know, from my perspective, it's a bit of a conflict because the village made the mistake, the village is on the hook, but the village is very easily able to just approve it and pass it and be done with it. And again, I wear it. I live next door, and it's fairly significant. It might not seem like a lot, you know, how much does this matter? But it really actually does. So, thanks.
And in response, I do thank you for your letter. It was reviewed. That's on me for not acknowledging it during debate. Further public comments?
I'm Rashmi Narayan and I live in Valemount. I just want to refer to the item 8.16 related to waiving the fees. And, you know, I support the idea that, you know, that staff and council look at not waiving the fees at every opportunity because I see it's a loss of revenue for the village. And in many instances, it's possible for the nonprofit to sort of write into grants for projects or whatever, like rental fees, be the community hall, and I feel that should be something that you know, staff encourage the organizations who are seeking it, so that, and I say that because I know we did that when we had the seniors fair. I wrote that into the budget through the age-friendly grant, and it should be something that we encourage organizations to do, so that it's not taking away revenue from the village. So I just wanted to share that. And with respect to the item 8.3 related to the challenges facing businesses and nonprofits, I appreciate that staff put some thought into the analysis and you know, how to visit those issues in-house as a village. And at this point, I just wanted to clarify that the letter or petition wasn't asking any action on part of the village on these issues. It was more like seeking their support as someone who convenes the various parties to brainstorm. So not put any resources into addressing the staffing issue or managing housing. You know, it was more like as a neutral party to bring people together. Similar to like when the village hosted the geothermal workshop or something, you know, it's just like brainstorming, having different people in the same room to talk about solutions, and not really, this was not to ask the village to take any kind of responsibility to make, act on these issues or provide resources to make those issues happen. So I just wanted to clarify that. So thank you.
Thank you. Further public comment this evening? Second time. Third and final call for public comment. Motion to receive. Moved by Councillor Pearson, seconded by Councillor Blanchette. All in favor? It's carried. Hereby give notice to proceed to an in-camera meeting for consideration of one item per section 91C of the Community Charter to discuss matters related to labor relations and other employee relations. Moved by Councillor Blanchette, seconded by Councillor Pearson. All in favor? It's carried. The public portion of this meeting is now over.